being creatively is inspired with pretty serious and delightful business ideas to leverage, to provide value, to improve our lives. I've already thought about the FPV drone 360 tour through video idea, starting with property, and it being a very quick and dirty way, as well as being a quick and polished way of not only capturing in high fidelity the visual aspects of a property or any given space using a drone, but it captures the dimensions. So if you're able to capture the dimensions very quickly just through the video, exactly like, well, maybe not exactly, but pretty much like the 360 photo virtual tours, that's old tech. It's going to turn to video. As soon as we get efficient at being able to feed streaming video as an experience rather than a static photograph, then that's going to be the future that we take. So the quicker that people are able to jump on board with that idea, staying ahead of the curve and utilizing it so as to build a business based on knowing that that's where the trajectory of technology is going to go rather, and then inventing an application that's going to have widespread first to market implications. That's a serious thing to consider. But as amazing as it is that I'm being inspired like this, I can't actuate on every one of them at the same time, and they're all kind of critical because they'll create a shift, they'll create a movement, and I'll need to be fully invested in it to carry it through to my envisionment, if you can say that. Because I don't want to take that genius credit. I would much rather appreciate the genie and seed the idea in other trustworthy people who are able to do it on my behalf, alongside, in partnership, while I oversee from afar and kind of possibly micromanage. But I can still use the tools to my advantage, some that I may build myself, but not through my own undergoing, but so that I keep ownership of the idea. That's my IP, but I recruit others to flesh it out and actually make it so, because I can't commit to any one. It's just, I maybe have to, but I don't think this FPV drone 360 stuff video, I've got to shorten that word, that phrase, term. I don't know if this is going to be my first one. So whether I seed it to other people or not, because I just had a conversation with Ella, who was the lettings agent that was meant to show me around the, well, not show me around, but like at least open the door for the property that I went to, and I just took some measurements. It's the old school way. I took a pad and pen, and I started at the entrance and just started to roughly draw out a floor plan because I didn't have one at hand, and taking measurements with the laser pointer of every nook and cranny. Some rooms are not square, some rooms are rectangular, some of them are like Tetris shapes, and you've got to consider the windows and the doors and cupboards and alcoves and fireplaces and boilers and electricity units and all that stuff, gas meter. You've got to consider a lot. Which rooms are the bathrooms and which are the toilets and which are the kitchens and how far their cupboards away from the walls and all that kind of stuff. You want to know. But you can't have all of that only at the last minute when the property is vacant and it's just wasting money, and you have to go in there with a professional property photographer to go in there with their 360 camera to take still shots, and then like I did today, jot down manually each measurement of every room, of every bloody wall, and to do all that, to then translate it into a digital format, take all their measurements, punch it in using a keyboard into a system where it can create a 2D static graphic of a floor plan. And it's so basic. It is so two-dimensional. And it's so tedious. And that's what people have built their professions on. That's a requirement to capture some data. But this is 2023, and we can already capture measurements way more accurately than probably what we can do manually by hand each time, with all of that user error involved, all of that time. We can do that in a fraction of the time and way more efficient with stills, with 360 still images. So if we can do it for stills, we can do it for video. And so if we can do it for video, it just takes simply going around, recording with a 360 video drone, and push that into the computer, and it'll build a 3D model just like with the stills. It can even just extrapolate some stills from the video automatically. Like it will go to the center of the room, extrapolate the 360 still from the center of each room and at the pivotal point of each corridor and stuff like that, and it can build it still, just a static image 3D model. Or the future is we're going to build a 360 video experience of the tour, and it can be low fidelity for speed and time and server capacity, or it can be high fidelity in order to sell. It's not to create virtual tour experiences where people need to sit with a bloody virtual goggle set on their head. No, the future is going to be 360 video. You can be more immersive by having it on a headset, but really it's going to be more about people still to this day, because we're still on the precipice, using 360 videos on their phones or on their tablets or computer screen, and they're going to flick through. So they can scrub through the timeline and pause at any moment, or just keep playing, because they can go slowly. They can adjust the play speed, and then they can go take their own time and tour around this 360 video. And so the user experience of the software has to facilitate a much easier process to work with 360 videos, as opposed to it just being relegated to some kind of fad that people haven't really gotten the right usages for. And then this will of course translate over into something greater. Google Maps, for example. Virtual tours that lift us in video form through set trajectories that can only multiply and expand and scale, making jobs accessible for anyone who wants to record a flight, a vector path through anywhere they want, and then upload that, contribute that to an ever expanding 3D mapping of all spaces, from indoor to outdoor. Imagine that. Imagine, I need to stop. Imagine going through those tours. Imagine feeling like you're flying. And then after you build that, then you can go into virtual reality if you wanted and have it of a more immersive experience. But as it is right now, that tech is just, it's still niche and it's still expensive. It's still a pain in the ass. So we can do it in video form first.